Motorsports Magazine for the Star Speedway in Epping, New Hampshire. We get set for the qualifying for the Star 150 for the Busch Grand National North. Starting on the pole, the 71 of Bobby Dragon, on the outside, the 51 of Mike McLaughlin.
We go to row 2, where on the inside is the 29 of Dave Dion and the 16 of Stub Fadden.
Jamie Obey and Dick McCabe make up row number 3. Barney McRae, Mike Olson, row 4. Mike Rowe in row number 5. Jeff Berry in the 22 car and Glenn Sullivan in the 34 make up heat number 1. Bobby Dragon jumps out to the early lead. The battle is for the second spot. Mike McLaughlin on the outside, Dave Dion on the inside. McLaughlin takes the outside line, moves into the second spot. Dave Dion runs third. Jamie Obey fourth. Dick McCabe on the inside in the 0 car runs fifth. Milton, Vermont, Bobby Dragon trying to hold off Mike McLaughlin. Dave Dion runs in the third spot. Barney McRae from Colchester, Vermont, Mike Rowe and Mike Olson battle for the 7th spot. Four laps complete. It's still Bobby Dragon leading it. Mike McLaughlin runs in the second spot. Dave Dion from Hudson, New Hampshire runs third. Good battle between Mike Rowe and the 15. He gets around side Barney McRae. Mike Rowe takes over the 7th spot. Now Mike McLaughlin looks to the inside of Bobby Dragon. The Dragon holds him off for the time being. 7 laps will be complete this time by. Bobby Dragon is the leader. Mike McLaughlin runs second. Dave Dion is third. Jamie Obey fourth. Dick McCabe runs in the 5th spot. And Stub Fadden runs 6th. 2 to go for Bobby Dragon. White flag comes out. 1 to go for Dragon. Mike McLaughlin holds down the 2nd spot. Has 2 more turns to get by Dragon. He drops back to the inside. Looks like he'll settle for 2nd. They come down the stretch and Bobby Dragon wins heat number 1 for the Busch Grand National North. Mike McLaughlin finishes 2nd. Dave Dion 3rd. Jamie Obey 4th. And Dick McCabe rounds out the top 5. A good run for the Vermont driver, Bobby Dragon. I'm sure a familiar name to all our Motorsports Magazine fans, Rod.
Of course, Bobby Dragon, Rick, the younger brother of Beaver Dragon. Well known, of course, for driving the 75 on the ACT, but great driving there in that first heat for the Busch Grand National North driver.
Bobby Dragon wins it. We'll have heat number 2 coming up. Number 2 for the Busch Grand National North, qualifying for the Star 150. And on the inside of row number 1, the 35 of Mike Whedon. Starting on the outside, the points leader in the Busch Grand National North from Scarborough, Maine, Joe Bessie.
We go to row 2, where Dean Ferry of Ontario lines up on the inside, outside, Essex Junction's Ron Lamel.
In row number 3, on the inside, car number 1, Tony Hirschman. And starting on the outside, one of the leading rookies in Busch Grand National North, from Northwood, New Hampshire, the 31 of Babe Branscombe.
We go to the next row, where inside is the 68 of Martin Truex, and outside the 69 of Latham's Jeff Spraker.
Final row from Peru, New York, the 17 of Bob Brunell, and starting on the outside from Williston, Vermont, the 48 of Scott Bachand. 10 cars set to go 10 laps in heat number 2 for the Busch Grand National North. We are at the Star Speedway in Epping, New Hampshire. A track ride that you and I have been coming to for a lot of years now.
Well, usually the main attraction here at Star Speedway on Saturday nights is the Super Modifieds. The Super Modifieds this week are in Ohio. This week we see the North Tour. Great to see him, Rick. Something you'll notice about Star Speedway, it's a very small track and passing is difficult. You have to be really at your best to make passes here.
Interesting to note, Rob, that later on in the third heat, you will see Robbie Crouch driving a Busch Grand National North car number 8, a team out of Vermont.
That's right, his first appearance on the Busch North Tour of the year for Georgia, Vermont's Robbie Crouch. Of course, we see him a lot at Airborne. We see him 3 times a year there. We'll see if he can translate success on the ACT to success with Busch North here at Star.
They will go green next time by Mike Wheaton in the 35, Joe Bessie in the 9. Row 2, Dean Ferry and Ron Lamell. Tony Hirschman and Babe Branscombe, row 3. Martin Truex and the 69 of Jeff Spraker, row 4. Bob Brunell and Scott Bashan round out the field, and we're under green. Mike Wheaton gets the jump on Joe Bessie. Dean Ferry looks to take the second spot on the inside. Ferry gives Wheaton a tap in the back bumper, but Mike Wheaton will lead lap number 1. Cars run single file into turn 4. Mike Wheaton, Dean Ferry, Joe Bessie, Tony Hirschman, Ron Lamell, and Babe Branscombe. Number 1, halfway this time by. Mike Wheaton has led from start to finish. The Ontario driver, Dean Ferry, trying to move in. Joe Bessie started outside pole. He's dropped back to 3rd. Tony Hirschman runs 4th. Ron Lamell runs 5th. Now Hirschman looks to the inside of Joe Bessie. Tony Hirschman will take the 3rd spot. Bessie caught on the outside, going backwards. And now Ron Lamell looks to move up on the back bumper of Hirschman. 2 to go for Mike Wheaton. Side-by-side battle for the 4th spot, but it's going to be Mike Wheaton to pick up the checkers. Dean Ferry finishes 2nd, Tony Hirschman 3rd, Joe Bessie picks up a 4th place finish, and Ron Lamell finishes 5th. And well, earlier in the program, Rob, we saw Mike Wheaton pick up a Pro Stock win at Lee USA Speedway, and apparently he's got the hot setup again tonight.
Rick, is that the home court advantage for Mike Wheaton? Boy, he's raced a lot of races here, and he looked real good in that heat.
Heat number 2 goes to Haverhill, New Hampshire's Mike Wheaton. Stay with us. Well, folks, what we said about heat number 3, forget it. I forgot, it's NASCAR. They time trial for the top 6 spots, so Bobby Gaeta gets the pole. Kelly Moore on the outside. Buzzy Bazanton and Robbie Crouch in row 2. Dale Shaw, Curtis Markham, row 3. Bobby Dragon and Mike Wheaton, row 4. Mike McLaughlin, Dean Ferry in row number 6. Bobby Gaeta on the inside. Kelly Moore on the outside. Buzzy Bazanson looks to push through in the 32 car. Bobby Gator leads lap number 1. The battle is on. Bazanson is second, Kelly Moore third, Dale Shaw fourth, Bobby Dragon up to fifth. Robbie Crouch caught on the outside of the car number 8. Laps are complete, and Bobby Gator from Connecticut has led from the start. Buzzy Bazanson, that's his new ride. The 32 car runs in the second spot. Kelly Moore is third. Dale Shaw fourth. Bobby Dragon and Robbie Crouch battle for the fifth spot. Mike McLaughlin is seventh. Curtis Markham eighth. Dave Dion runs in the ninth spot. And the 10th spot is Dean Ferry. Further in the field, Mike Wheaton runs 11th. Tony Hurstman is 12th. Joe Bessie 13th. Jamie Obie 14th. Dick McCabe is 15th. Ron Lamell 16th. Chuck Batten 17th. Mike Rowe runs in the 18th spot. Glenn Sullivan is 19th, and Mike Olson runs 20th. Bob Burnell 21st. Dave Branson 22nd. Truex in the 68 car runs 23rd. Jeff Berry 24th. Jeff Spraker 25th. Barney McRae 26th. And Scott Bashan 27th. The 27 starting for the Star 150. Robbie Crouch moving up on the outside. Tries to take over the third spot from Kelly Moore. Crouch moves on the outside of Buzzy Bazanson. Bobby Gate has opened up a 6-car length advantage, but here comes Robbie Crouch. Crouch has made it work on the outside, and he's moved up to the second spot and quickly challenges Bobby Gator for the lead. Bobby Gator and Robbie Crouch battling for the top spot here in the Star 150. 16 laps complete. Tire smoke off the Bazanson car. Now Crouch looks to the inside of Gator, and Robbie Crouch is the new leader. Robbie Crouch started fourth, and after 16 laps, he took the lead. And he's starting to edge away from Bobby Gator, who runs in the second spot. Buzzy Bazanson third. Kelly Moore is fourth. Good battle in the middle of the pack. Again, you see more smoke coming off the 32 car of Buzzy Bazanson. He's challenged for that third spot by Kelly Moore. It does appear to be tire smoke coming off the right rear tire of the Bazanson car. Now Kelly Moore takes it to the outside. He takes over that third spot as they come down the stretch. Here comes Dale Shaw. Shaw tries to get underneath Buzzy Besantzen. And there's Bobby Dragon on the outside. Four-car battle for the third spot. Robbie Crouch leads it. Bobby Gaeta second. And that's the battle for third. Kelly Moore takes over third. Now Bobby Dragon moves to fourth. As the Besantzen car is starting to slow a bit. Besantzen heads down toward pit road. Besantzen is out of it. Jamie Obey in the 41 car. Multi-time champion, the Busch Grand National North Circuit. He works his way around Gene Ferry in the 66. Crouch working his way through lap traffic. He moves around the 5 car of Barney McRae. 26 laps are complete. Another car on the move, the 51 of Mike McLaughlin, also the 29 of Dynamite David Dion. Over the second spot from Bobby Gaeta. Bobby Dragon on the move. Now we see some tire smoke coming from Dale Shaw's number 60. But the story of this race is Robbie Crouch. This is his first ride in this car. The Avery Motorsports team taking over the ride from Jeff Barry. Dion looks to the inside of Curtis Markham. Jamie Obey looks to follow him through. Robbie Crouch took over on lap 17 from early race leader Bobby Gaeta. He's opened up distance between himself and Kelly Moore. Crouch getting into heavy lap traffic. The 69 of Jeff Spraker and the 61 of Mike Olson directly in front of him. Caution flag is out. Caution for the first time in the main event is the 32 of Buzzy Besantzen. Still having problems. Besantzen came back on the track. The car was still heavily smoking. And Besantzen will be headed back to the pits. 39 laps are complete, Robin. I think the story of this race is Robbie Crouch.
Rick, that's an understatement. Robbie Crouch is just blistering this Star Speedway track, and he hasn't been here since probably the early 80s. He is absolutely flying. Robbie Crouch in the 8. Former car this year of Jeff Barry. Crouch is going to drive that car whenever there are no conflicts between the ACT schedule and NASCAR North. He is flying, and he was pulling away. Kelly Moore doing a good job in the second spot. Bobby Dragon third.
Let's recap the field. Rob just gave the top three. Running in the fourth spot is Bobby Gaeta and his number 36. The 34 of Glenn Sullivan is a lap car. The 51 of Mike McLaughlin runs in the fourth spot. Barney McRae is a lap car. And number 5, running fifth, is the 7 of Curtis Markham. Next is the 41 of Jamie Obey, and he's really moved up, Rob.
Jamie Obey's doing a good job in the Budweiser car. But boy, Rick, on this Star Speedway track, we've seen a lot of side-by-side racing, and it is difficult to pass. And look at who is behind Jamie Obey.
Dynamite Dave Dion. The Airborne fans don't get a chance to see Dave Dion, so we had to bring the cameras on the road to find him.
Well, it's too bad because Dave Dion puts on a show everywhere. He's won the Oxford 250 3 times.
Dion is followed by Dick McCabe, Joe Bessie, Ron Lamell in the 11, Dean Ferry in the 66, Mike Rowe in the 15, Mike Wheaton in the 35, Tony Hirschman in the 1, the 16 of Stubby Fadden, the 31 of Babe Branscombe, the 68 of Martin Truex, the 69 of Jeff Spraker, the 17 of Peru's Bob Brunell, the 48 of Scott Bachand, the 22 of Jeff Berry, and the lap car in the back is the 61 of Mike Olson.
Rick, is Bob Brunell still on the lead lap?
I think that caution came out just as Crouch was about to put him a lap down.
To tell you how strong this field is running, there's a look at Stub Fadden in the 16. Stub Fadden in the top 5 in points, and he's well back in the field. The 31, Babe Branscombe, has been the champion here 7 times as we've out the set to begin again.
Going back to green, 42 laps complete. Crouch and Moore. Robbie Crouch on the inside, Kelly Moore on the outside, Bobby Dragon looking to stick his nose into the battle. Bobby Dragon gets a bit sideways off the turn, swings it out. The front. He's now moved into the 7th spot around Jamie Obey. Dion is caught behind the lap car of Glenn Sullivan now. Obey spins! And he gets nailed by Ron Lamell. I think what happened there, Rob, was the lap car of Glenn Sullivan got in the way of Dave Dion, and Dion tried to move out. Sullivan got a bit loose and got into the side of Jamie Obey.
Well, I think you're right, Rick. Glenn Sullivan holding up the faster cars. Dave Dion and Jamie Obey come together on the backstretch. Folks, I'm sure you're hearing the engines loud and clear on this broadcast. I want to tell you, when you're here at Star, you sit awful close to the track. And Rick, I don't know about your ears, but my ears are ringing as Glenn Sullivan gets the black flag.
Well, Rob, it's probably a good thing that our ears are ringing because it's making it easier to hear each other. 50 laps are complete. We're a third of the way through. We've had just 2 cautions, so it's been a real clean race so far.
Rick, you think Robbie Crouch can hold him off? His first Busch North race of the year. Really, probably it's got to be at least his first race in 2 years.
Well, this reminds me a lot of the the old days in the early 80s when the ACT and Busch Grand National North were running as one. We got a battle between Robbie Crouch and Bobby Dragon. Dave Dion and Dick McCabe not too far behind.
Rick, why don't you set the field for us?
51 laps are complete. Row number 1, it's the 8 of Robbie Crouch and the 47 of Kelly Moore. Bobby Dragon and Bobby Gaeta run in row 2. And what a strong performance we've seen tonight from Bobby Gaeta.
Bobby Gaeta's really doing a good job in the 36. And I'll tell you, he's running in some very fast company. We'll see if he can hold that.
Running in the 5th spot is Mike McLaughlin. In the 6th spot is Curtis Markham from Virginia. 7th is Dave Dion. 8th is Dick McCabe. 9th is Joe Bessie. 10th is Dean Ferry. Mike Rowe runs 11th. Tony Hirschman is 12th. Stubb Badden 13th. And Babe Branscombe runs in the 14th spot. Going back to green this time by.
Cautions are counting in this race. Cautions count.
Bobby Crouch gets the jump on Kelly Moore. Bobby Dragon is 3rd. Now McLaughlin looks to go underneath Bobby Gaeta. Dave Dion now runs best. Watch your eye on Dave Dion. Right behind, currently running 7th. So far, Kelly Moore right on his back bumper in 2nd, Bobby Dragon in 3rd, Mike McLaughlin 4th, Dave Dion battling it out with Bobby Gaeta for the 5th spot, Joe Bessie 7th, Dick McCabe is 8th in the 0 car. Curtis Markham is 9th. Good battle for the 10th spot between Tony Hirschman and Mike Rowe. lap traffic. We got trouble. Martin Truex spinning on the front stretch. Truex loops his 68 coming out of turn 4, Rob, and it's been a tough night for that first-year driver. He replaced Donnie Ling Jr. in that car this year.
Truex loses the engine, and Rick, if there's a car that is on the move, I think at this point it's the 0. Boy, I'll tell you, Dick McCabe is coming from the back of the pack, and now he's knocking right on Dave Dion's door panel.
Well, you've had that car in the camera frequently, and he's, I guess you could say, Rob, he's literally plowing his way through traffic with that Fisher snowplow Buick.
Oh!
71 laps are complete. Bobby Dragon, the veteran from Milton, Vermont, is running in the 3rd spot. He's had a real good view of the battle between Kelly Moore and Robbie Crouch for the top spot. Crouch driving the E.J. Prescott Lake Maury Inn car number 8. His first ride in that car this year. And Moore driving the Jordan Lumber car number 47.
Robbie Crouch is really driving his car hard. You gotta wonder how the tires will hold up here. Is Kelly Moore holding something back, Rick? You think Kelly Moore has anything more to give him?
I think it's awfully early in the race, Rob, and I don't think either one of the drivers is showing everything they've got yet.
If not then who? Who do you think's going to be up there?
Never count out Dave Dion. Let's recap the field with 72 laps complete in this 150-lap race. Robbie Crouch is the leader. He's led from lap 16. Kelly Moore runs in the 2nd spot. The 3rd spot is held down by Milton, Vermont's Bobby Dragon. Running 4th is Mike McLaughlin. Bobby Gator runs 5th. Dave Dion is 6th. Dick McCabe 7th. Joe Bessie runs 8th. Curtis Markham is 9th. Mike Rowe runs 10th. Tony Hirschman 11th. Dean Ferry 12th. Babe Branscombe is 13th. Stub Fadden 14th. Jeff Berry 15th. And Mike Whedon is 16th, and I think Whedon's showing is a big disappointment so far.
Well, this is the home track. We'll see if he can do it.
Now Dragon looks to the inside of Kelly Moore. Dragon looking to take over the 2nd spot. Kelly Moore shuts the door, pulls that 47 car back at a line. The 22 of Jeff Berry is off the pace. Jeff Berry slow in the backstretch, headed towards pit road. Now Mike McLaughlin takes over the 3rd spot from Bobby Dragon. Runs in the 5th spot, and Joe Bessie has moved around a couple cars. He's now 6th. Caution flag out for the 4th time as a couple of back markers, Glenn Sullivan in the 34 and Barney McRae from Colchester, Vermont, come together in turn 2. So we've got 80 laps in the books, Rob, and Mike McLaughlin is starting to show the fans here at Epping, New Hampshire that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the latter stages of this race.
Mike McLaughlin driving the Coors Extra Gold Lumina. He shot by Bobby Dragon that time on that restart. And you're right, Rick, he's going to be one that you're going to have to watch.
In that last series of green flag action, another car that moved up 2 or 3 spots was Joe Bessie's 9. He moved around Bobby Gaeta and around Dick McCabe.
Joe Bessie, driver out of the state of Maine. Couple great drivers from Maine right there. Joe Bessie, and behind him, the Irish Angel, Dick McCabe.
Joe Bessie is the current point leader on the Busch Grand National North Circuit. Now we've seen Dean Ferry in his 66 car moving up right on the back bumper of the pace car. It appears as though Ferry is headed to pit road, Rob.
Dean Ferry is the only Canadian driver on the Busch North Series, and he is headed to the pits. A very long haul for Dean Ferry out here to New Hampshire. Dean Ferry.
Mike Rowe, who is also running in the top 10, heads down pit road. Now with the caution laps counting and this being a very small racetrack, it's going to be awful important for the crews in the pits to get their work done quickly to keep their drivers on the same lap.
That's right. We've already seen Buzzy Bezanson head into the pits. He came back out for 1 lap and then eventually went back in himself.
Safety crews are finished work up in turn 2. 82 laps are complete. Ferry is back on the track. He does not go a lap down, and neither does Mike Rowe. Both those drivers rejoin the field at the back of the pack.
Can Robbie Crouch hold on to get this victory? The man behind him, Mike McLaughlin, has been flying. Crouch is going to have to drive an unbelievable race to get the victory.
I think it would be a major upset, Rob, if Robbie Crouch were to win this race.
It wouldn't be an upset to see him win any time on the ACT, but to see him come out here his first time, I know he's been test driving the car frequently, but first time in a heavy-duty competition like this, he's doing an outstanding job in the EJP, the Prescott Buick.
Well, Rob,
Pontiac, excuse me.
We didn't have a chance to give our pre-race forecast before the start of the race. 84 laps are now complete. Who's going to win it?
Rick, I'm going to take 51, Mike McLaughlin.
Look at that 5th spot and tell me who you see.
The only Ford in the competition, Dave Dion.
I think Dion will win it. 84 down. Kelly Moore tries the outside of Robbie Crouch. And Moore move around the lap car of Dale Shaw. Shaw lost a few laps in the pit. Robbie Crouch leading. Kelly Moore running second. Mike McLaughlin is third. Dave Dion fourth. Joe Bessie fifth. Tony Hirschman is sixth. Bobby Gaeta is 7th, Bobby Dragon 8th, Dick McCabe 9th, and Mike Whedon has moved up to 10th. And Whedon spins. Whedon is spun out, turn number 4. And that will bring out our 5th caution flag of the evening. Caution is out for Mike Whedon, who we spoke about earlier, Rob, as having a disappointing night, but he had worked his way all the way up to 10th, and he got a little tap from behind by Dick McCabe. I don't know if you picked it up or not in the camera.
No, I was following Robbie Crouch up at the front as Kelly Moore has tapped Robbie Crouch a couple times after that last restart. Robbie Crouch is showing surprising power. He's held the likes of McLaughlin, Dave Dion, Joe Bessie. He's off, and he still sits first. Can he hold him off through this race? That's the question.
Mike Rowe headed back to the pits, as well as Dick McCabe.
So your speculation, Rick, that McCabe might have had something to do with Mike Whedon, got to be correct as he heads into the pits.
That wasn't speculation, I saw it.
Oh.
They crossed the field over. Robbie Crouch and Kelly Moore in row number 1. Mike McLaughlin and Dynamite Dave Dion in row 2. Joe Bessie and Tony Hirschman in row 3, and Hirschman has really moved up the last few laps.
It's a name we haven't mentioned a lot. He's been consistent, as has the man behind him.
Bobby Gaeta in the 36, runs 7th. Bobby Dragon is 8th. I believe Jamie Obie is a couple laps down.
Yeah, as is the 61 car of Mike Olson.
So that would mean the 9th spot would be to Curtis Markham. And the 10th spot right now would go to a guy that we haven't spoke much about. You mentioned him earlier, and that's the racing grandfather, Stub Fadden.
Stub Fadden from North Haverhill, New Hampshire. In the top 5 in points in the North Series, followed by the 31 of Babe Branscombe. We're set to restart, and here is Rick Knoll.
54 laps remain. Robbie Crouch gets the jump on Kelly Moore. Mike McLaughlin and Dave Dion got together a bit. Dion got loose. That gets Joe Bessie the inside line. Now Dion looks to the inside of McLaughlin. McLaughlin putting on a show for the 3rd spot. I think McLaughlin might have made Dion mad a little bit earlier. Now McLaughlin comes back on the outside, takes over the 3rd spot. Top 2 cars remain. The 8 of Robbie Crouch and the 47 of Kelly Moore. Remain for Robbie is starting to drift a bit high in the turn. Maybe the tires starting to leave the Crouch cars. Kelly Moore has been able to get underneath him coming out of turn 4 the last couple times. Now Kelly Moore looks to the outside. It's still Robbie Crouch. Up alongside Crouch as they head down the backstretch. Kelly Moore putting all sorts of pressure on Robbie Crouch, but it's still Crouch at the line. Moore is off the backstretch. Kelly Moore is spinning. I don't know what Kelly Moore was trying to do there, because he really was putting a lot of pressure on Robbie Crouch. Lost it going down the backstretch. There's still 35 laps remaining in this race. He may have made his move a little too soon.
Kelly Moore, after trying to look for a hole inside of Robbie Crouch, Crouch, the veteran, did not give one, decided to look high. Really abusing the tires was Kelly Moore. And I think eventually, Rick, the tires started to go away and he got loose there. And Kelly Moore's chances of winning this race are out the window. Robbie Crouch has survived one test from Kelly Moore. Test number 2 sits behind him, and Mike McLaughlin.
What a restart this is going to be. Crouch on the inside, McLaughlin on the outside, and Dave Dion in the third spot. I don't know if you noticed it, Rob, but a few times we've seen Robbie Crouch drift high coming out of the turn, so maybe there's some tire wear starting to show on that number 8 car.
Wouldn't be surprised, Rick, but I got to think most of the cars in this race have really put a lot of wear and tear on their tires, and I don't think Robbie Crouch is alone. There's been, as we mentioned earlier, you have to work extremely hard to get one position here. And that puts a lot of wear and tear on the tires, but I think everybody is going to be in the same boat Robbie Crouch is. Can he hold them off? We've asked that now about 4 times.
Now, the longer this race goes under caution, the better chance Robbie Crouch has of winning. But right in his back bumper and alongside of the 2 guys that you and I picked to win this race, Mike McLaughlin from your side and Dave Dion from my side. Tony Hirschman is up to 4th. Bobby Gaeta running 5th. Stub Fadden is 6th. Babe Branscombe is 7th. Dean Ferry is 8th. Dick McCabe 9th. And Mike Rowe runs 10th. The top 10 with 32 laps remaining. 118 laps in the book. And they'll go green next time by.
.119 in the books and set to call the action. Rick Knowles, or is Robbie Crouch going to do it?
I don't know. Dave Dion waiting right there. Look at Mike McLaughlin power up on the outside. But there's Crouch to shut the door. We got Mike Whedon spinning. Mike Whedon spinning in turn number 2. Whedon gets his 35 car back underway, so there will be no caution. Crouch in the 8 is the leader. Mike McLaughlin, a looming presence on the outside. Dave Dion runs in the 3rd spot. Tony Hirschman is 4th. Crouch. He has led from lap 16. Bobby Gaeta led the first 16 laps. Crouch took over, held off Kelly Moore for quite a few laps, and now is pulling away from Mike McLaughlin. Dave Dion runs in the 3rd spot. Tony Hirschman is 4th. 41 of Jamie Obey is a lap car. Crouch. Jamie Obey's 41 has moved ahead of McLaughlin, but I believe Obey lost some laps in the pit. Good battle for the 5th spot. Dave Branscombe in 31, Bobby Gaeta in the 36, Chuck Badge in the 16, and Dick McCabe in the 0. In the book, 14 to go for Robbie Crouch. Working his way through lap traffic. No problem around Scott Vachon and Dale Shaw. Ten laps to go this time by. Robbie Crouch. He's got the 41 of Jamie Obey between himself and Mike McLaughlin. Obey on the lead lap. We just got word from scoring that they may have Obey on the lead lap, so we're not sure who is in the second spot. One thing we are sure, and that's Robbie Crouch is the leader, and he has 5 laps remaining. Obey in the 41, McLaughlin in the 51, Dave Dion in the 29, Tony Hirschman in the 1. That's the top 5. Robbie Crouch desperately trying to hold off Jamie Obey. Obey is a lap car. This is not a battle for the lead. We have definite word from scoring. Now we got Joe Bessie spinning. Bessie spins at the top of the stretch. And Crouch almost got nailed by Bessie. It'll be 1 to go this time by for Robbie Crouch. White is out. 1 to go for Crouch. Star Speedway, the fans starting to come to the feed. Robbie Crouch comes off turn 4 and wins the Star 150. What an impressive performance by Robbie Crouch. I think a lot of the fans here didn't realize that Jamie Obey in that 41 car was a few laps down as he put on a heck of a challenge, but last few laps you saw the starter come out with the passing flag to Jamie Obey to let him know that Robbie Crouch was the leader and don't mess around with him.
I think actually, Rick, Jamie Obey might have got into Robbie Crouch one time, but boy, Robbie Crouch has dominated a lot of races over his career at NASCAR in the ACT. But he ran away with one tonight, and he was just brilliant. A great performance by Robbie Crouch.
You see Crouch pull into victory lane. Mike McLaughlin finishes second. Dave Dion finishes third. And what a run for the rookie, Rob. Babe Branscombe from Northwood, New Hampshire finishes fifth.
Not surprising. Babe Branscombe, as we mentioned earlier, they're 7-time Pro Stock champion here at the Star Speedway. Good run for Babe Branscombe, who's in a tight battle with Curtis Markham for the Rookie of the Year here in the Busch North Series.
Boy, and I'll bet there are a lot of people at ACT headquarters in Waterbury, Vermont with big smiles on their faces right now.
You think Robbie Crouch just showed some of these NASCAR boys, Rick?
Well, I'll tell you what, you got to give the NASCAR boys a lot of credit. You didn't, one thing that impressed me was this was a really clean race, Rob, and not a lot of cautions. The cautions were for incidents such as Bazansen's tire problem up here in turn 1, the blown engine from the 68 car. Really impressive performance by these drivers. They put on a great show. It's not often you see a 150-lap race, Rob, run in less than an hour clock time.
Wow. It was a real good race, Rick. For Robbie Crouch, he'll load up here, then take his ACT car down to Thompson, Connecticut. As we film this, the ACT set to run a modifieds on the asphalt.
Well, we invite everybody to stay with us because this is not the end of Motorsports Magazine for this evening. Not yet. One more race still to go. We're going to have the Pro Stock portion of the Star 150. 30 laps for the NASCAR Winston Racing Series Pro Stocks from here at Star. So stay with us. The Pro Stocks are coming up next.
Great race.
Robbie Crouch doing a